about this trial. She was.
Good morning. We're live. And it's a beautiful Thursday in ATL. Yes, it is. Hey. Not looking for no background music this morning. All righty. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Trying to get this together. All right. It's Thursday in the land of the living. And what can I say? Every day above ground is a good one, no matter the circumstances. So, good morning, everybody. Trying to wear my Caribbean hat today because we should be celebrating. Some people are being liberated, some islands, and let me see, it's in Antigua, uh, Barbuda, and I can't remember the other. But all of these Caribbean countries are being cut free from the clutches of the British Empire. So that's a good thing. You know, people are gaining their independence. Morning, Alma. I can't see everybody else who's on here, but good morning to everybody that's on this morning. And it's good to see that people are being able to be independent and don't have to go by the rules of another country. So that's a good thing. So maybe they'll start to prosper now that they won't be having to ship X amount of tax dollars over to England. And so I guess the king is going to be a pretty good guy in ruling since he's letting these countries gain their independence and no longer under the guise um, of the king or the queen. So that's good, you know. God is moving. Yeah. So other things in the news, R. Kelly has been sentenced to over 30 years for child pornography and his other cases, you know, that will be run concurrent. So and let that brother get the boot. I don't go along with pedophilia and child pornography or none of that stuff, but I do feel like uh, his punishment is excessive for the crime. Um, and I believe that the parents of these girls should have been held accountable as well, because if they were minors and you allow your child to travel with a grown man and to live in a grown man's house and you know it and you don't say anything while it's happening, you wait 10 years, 15 years later, R. Kelly was paying their bills, buying them cars, house note being paid. It's like they were pimping their own daughter. So I believe they should at least go to jail for pandering, if nothing else. Because R. Kelly shouldn't be the only one that's um, guilty, for what happened to those girls. So, T is sneaking on this morning. Look at her. What you doing?
Working. I am sneaking.
I'm looking at the background. I know what you doing.
Hey, Louisa. Hey, I'm a mama. Good morning, everybody. Break of dawn, and everybody. Good morning. Wayne, we get together maybe this weekend or whenever you're available to talk about the song, see what we came up with. And so, just coming in, what was I thinking about? It was something. Oh, have you heard on the news, Turk? You probably heard about it because it randomly. It won't play on our random local news, but it should have played on like CNN and stuff like that. Have you heard about that state police that they got brought charges up on because he went into a store and made a purchase. He went home and then he came back a week or two or something like that later to return it to get his money back. With only what he had put in there was the old Raggedy Warren toy or whatever the hell it was he was buying. And whatever he bought, he took it home and took it out the box. And then he put the old shit in the box and then he tried to take it back to the store. And because he was a police, he was trying to, use his power. You know what I'm saying? I was like, he should be fired. And he should never get another damn police job ever. Nowhere.
He should be charged with theft.
He should be charged with theft.
Deception. What would they call that?
They call it deceptive practices. Ask me how I know. He should be charged with deceptive practices. End of story. And he should never get another darn job as a police officer. Ever.
If he's doing something like that, he's doing some slick stuff in the street.
People who are drug dealers. Can you imagine the money he stole from drug dealers when he ran up on them? Just all of a sudden pulled up on them. Hey, stop! What are you doing? Check your pocket. Where do you get this money from? What job you got? And all that. I can't imagine.
Or if he catch him with drugs, take the drugs and the money, get the hell out of here. I'm gonna give you a break.
I can't imagine the power, the bully that he played because of the badge he wore. Wow. Oh, y'all just not noticing that y'all police officers do this type of stuff? Really? Not all of them, but a few. And if what I just said pisses anybody off, oh well. If the shoe fit, damn it, you wore it. You made your bed, lie in it.
Yep.
And end of story. That bastard should never be able to have another job in any police department.
As a law enforcement official.
Law enforcer at all. Because what law did he enforce except for the law he wrote on his own? It wasn't the people's law. It wasn't the law for the people. It wasn't the law of the land. It was his law. Created by his hand and his pen. Oh yeah, he been pushing his powers, baby. And they caught his butt. And what about the chief that they fired? I mean, the captain. Did you hear about the captain they fired in Miami?
No.
You have got to Google the fired captain in Miami-Dade Police Department, Miami-Dade, Miami Police Department, the fired captain. So they had to fire a captain. They said over the years, dig this. Over the years, he's had a strong history, strong history about actually some like in the sense of rebellion against what they want, or they said he's also used excessive force. That was at the end of the story, excessive force. But in the middle of the story, what got me is that they fired him. Say, oh, we've been at it. He's just been totally against what our ordinances are and what we, no. But guess what? He said one of the people there told him, oh no, you're Latino. That's my Latino officer or something. And he told her, no, I'm not Latino, I'm Black. He said, I'm Black, and that's that. I'm not Latino, I'm Black. He is dark. He said, I'm not Hispanic, I'm Black. So I think that's got something to do with it. He claimed his Blackness. He kept it real. Even if he is Latin or Hispanic or got Latino.
But if you're dark, even if you are a Latino, they consider you to be Black.
Exactly.
Because it's not about your blood.
Right.
It's about what you look like.
It was amazing. It was totally amazing. Hey, Brian, you ready? Back at it? Okay. Well, everybody, that just gave you a little something. That's Thursday's thinking out loud on Thursday. Thinking out loud on this Thursday. We just doing what we do. We making it do what it do. Any thoughts you have? Any thoughts, any ideas you guys may have? Maybe show ideas. Put them in the comments. Post it. So I'll go back and watch this to see if anybody posts any comments on there. Definitely. What's the topic today, Turk?
Well, I was talking about the Caribbean countries that have cut the ties with the British Empire.
All of them should cut the ties.
Antigua, Barbuda, and it's a couple of more. And the king isn't putting up a big fuss about it. He's letting them go.
And you know why? Because he knows it's wrong. He know.
Mm-hmm.
In heart of hearts. He knows it's wrong.
So that's what I was saying. So that's good. Maybe this king is going to do some good things, for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Let people be independent and keep their finances in their country so the country can grow.
Exactly.
And do better and, less starvation and, less poverty.
No access to clean water. Drinking water, all of that. People
instead of just having all of the places that you can come and visit, Sandals and all of these luxurious places to come and enjoy their lands. Some of that wealth can be spread to the people as well.
I agree. Well, carry on, darling. Carry on.
Well, pip, cheerio. Have a good day, love.
Yes, you too, darling. I'll see you when I get there.
All righty.
Get there. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great rest of y'all day. Enjoy the show.
All right.
Boop.
Hey, Rochelle. Well, let's get back to the topic this morning. Well, one of them. I'm just hitting some news topics this morning. Getting back to R. Kelly. R. Kelly has over 32 years that he's been convicted and charged, and his time that they gave him is 32 years. They had 14 counts of different charges, from child pornography to lewd and lascivious act with a minor, statutory rape. You know, they had a plethora of charges on them. Now, I know it's a long time from when Elvis Presley was alive, but did anybody happen to know that Elvis Presley married a 15-year-old girl and nobody said nothing? And he was the greatest. Him, Jerry Lee Lewis, you know, it's been quite a few white performers that have really done some lewd and lascivious acts with minors, blatantly had sex with them, traveled with them out in the open, and nobody said anything. They were never brought up on charges. They weren't given 32 years. Their careers wasn't destroyed. Their finances wasn't confiscated or anything like that. Donald Trump, just like Wayne Zo said, you know, he's been on the island several times with Jeffrey Weinstein, and you know, that's all he had on that island was young girls that he had on there, from anywhere from 12 to 17 years old. If you were older than that, then you weren't on the island. And nobody's brought him up on any charges. They don't even mention the fact that he's in countless pictures with this man. And the same with President Clinton, the king's brother. Now, they did mention him. I mean, the king's uncle, the queen's brother. Now, they did mention him, about him being brought up on charges, but that was kind of shoved under the rug. You don't hear nothing else about that in the news. But, you know, it's still a double standard. You know, R. Kelly is wrong 100%. I agree. I totally agree. But I do think the charges, if you're going to charge a person for a crime, everybody should be charged for the crime. You know, just like the same case with Bill Cosby. They hurry up and ran Bill Cosby through the ringer, ruined his reputation. You know, he had got all of these doctorate degrees, you know, that were honorable from when, you know, he was having stuff built at all these HBCUs. You know, he was having wings built and putting money into black colleges. And then after that happened, they took them all back. You know, which I feel, if you're going to take back your doctorate, give him back his money. You know, fair exchange ain't no robbery. How you going to use his finances and then say, oh, F you because you got in trouble? And then it wasn't even true stories, because I'm going to tell you what happened with that Bill Cosby case. This is speaking from somebody who lived in that era. And in the 70s, drugs were glamorized. It was the party life. And in the 60s, it was even more of a party life, because it was about love, peace, you know, flower power. You know, everybody was rebelling against all of the wars that were going on, you know, and drugs were randomly taken. You know, the drug of choice back then was a Quaalude and a glass of wine or a glass of beer. and weed and acid, mind altering drugs, were very popular in the 60s and the 70s. I have been on many a trip on acid, that it was sold right there in Morgan Park. And guess what? Acid was made by the government. LSD was made by the government and put out to the people by the government. The same as crack cocaine from the Iran-Contra deal. The CIA was the first people to start selling crack cocaine. And they put it in predominantly black areas. Let me go to some of the comments. Waynezo said, what about Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis and Donald Trump? Rochelle said, Elvis started courting Priscilla when she was 14, then supposedly didn't get together till she was an adult, which we all know is a lie, because she was living in his house at that time. Hey, Caribbean Casanova, what's happening, my brother? And Rochelle said, and why didn't they give that supposedly bad money back? That's she's referring to the money about Bill Cosby. Hey, good morning, Vet. What's up? And that's just how it is. It's just a double standard in every feasible way that they could use a double standard on people of color. They do it. And I mean, it goes from the food that they put in the grocery stores in black neighborhood, the products they sell, the doctors' care. Let me tell y'all some stuff about doctors. Some of these doctors are butchering black people still today. I ain't talking about back in the 40s and the 30s and the 50s and the 60s. They are still butchering black people in 2022. And the 1990s, they've been butchering black people. My brother has a defibrillator connected to his heart. Well, he just had a new one put in because technology has changed, and it's smaller device. It lasts longer. It works better. Well, he had one in his chest, and it was a box twice the size of my phone. Now imagine you got this in your body to help you operate your heart, but they didn't have the technology to have it smaller back then. So I don't have a problem with that. But the doctor that put the new one in asked him, who did your defibrillator the first time you had it done? He was like, oh, well, I don't remember the doctor's name. He's like, but I have it in my portfolio from, my records. And he said he should be brought up on charges. He said, because the way he put it in your body is not how this is supposed to be done. My brother has had some serious issues from circulation, from almost losing a foot. And it's just really crazy. The stuff that they do to black people. They had, when me and my sister first went to Tennessee to get my brother from Tennessee, he had 2 surgeries on his heart. They put stents in and all of that stuff, quadruple bypass. They also had him on blood thinners, plural. When he got here to Georgia, and his first primary care physician was my nephew. When he read my brother's jacket and said, he don't know why he's still walking. He's a walking miracle, because he should have been dead 2 or 3 years ago, because they had my brother on 2 blood thinners, which is unheard of. And my brother was wondering why he keep passing out. They had a vest on him before he had a defibrillator, because what a defibrillator does is, if your heart goes into a bad rhythm, or if your heart stops or you have a heart attack, it give you electricity, boom, and shock it back to make it go back to the right beat. And it also makes it keep the right rhythm. You know, it's like it helps your heart to beat the right rhythm. Well, by him being on these blood thinners, he kept passing out, and it kept shocking him, you know, and they couldn't figure out why he was passing out. Well, when he got to Georgia, my nephew told him, "You're a walking miracle." He said, "You should have been dead, because you never give a person 2 blood thinners at the same time." He said, "Your blood is so thin, that's why you keep passing out. It's barely enough oxygen in your blood at that thinness for you to even be coherent." When I think about it, it makes me so mad. You know, and they wonder why, you know, there's a disdain from Black people to all of the things that the people, you know, that's supposed to be helping you and doing all of this stuff, you know, that are of Caucasian persuasion. What they do to Black people is horrid. Horrid. You know, they trying to kill us. And we know it ain't a secret. You know, but for you to take an oath to say that you're going to help someone, and then you actually put them in harm's way, you should be brought up on charges. And it's the only reason he can't sue or anything like that is because of the statute of limitations. It's just been too long, and there's really nothing that he could do. You know, and as far as taking 2 blood thinners, you know, the doctor could, my nephew say the doctor could just say it was a mistake in the prescribing of the products, you know, and you know, it's just so crazy. You know, my father died from being over medicated. They killed my dad. Same thing. You know, because doctors get paid, you know, for selling medications. Hey, Frugal, good morning. And you know, it's just really crazy. Yep. And Rochelle say Hugh Hefner said they were thigh openers, smiling when he said it, and he only got in trouble one time. Can you imagine the goings on in the Playboy Mansion? Heck yeah. And say that's what they were calling the pills, Quaaludes, thigh openers. That's like slipping somebody a Mickey. But that back then, it was the drug of choice. You know, like Tony Montana said in Scarface, she take a Quaalude, she call me in the morning, it'll be okay. Same thing. People used to pop Quaaludes, you know, in Chicago. They were doing tees and blues. They used to call them t-shirts and blue jeans. And that was a synthetic product made by the big pharma, and somehow accidentally on purpose end up on the street, like fentanyl. And JB say you got the street version of fentanyl, and then you have the pharmaceutical brand of fentanyl. Well, both of them you can get on the street. You can get the one that the pharmaceutical companies make. They sell that on the street too. So it really don't make no difference. You can get whichever one you want. And the problem is they're pressing fentanyl into pills that they claim are Molly and Xanax. And what's this other one that the college students are taking? Adderall. And they're killing people. This stuff is so dangerous. If you touch it, it can kill you. So after they mix it, then you can handle it with your hands after they dummy it down, like mixing cocaine. You instead of it being 98% pure, then they make it a different purity. So now you can handle it with your hands. But man, it's just so much going on in our world to where it's just a plan, to rid us from the planet. But it can't happen. It's too many of us, and I just hope that things start to change for the better, as the older generation and the older mindset people in power start to die, but I just hope the technology don't get so good to where they can start living to be 125, 130. Let all of these, old racist people go on to glory. I ain't wishing death on nobody. I ain't speaking they should line them up and kill them. None of that. Just go in your sleep. You can go peaceful. It's time for you to go. Just like I was mentioning in politics, we need to put a cap on how old a person can be. That's a senator, that's and Congress, or even when it comes to these judges in the Supreme Court, there should be a term limit on that. That shouldn't be a lifetime position. That's too much power to give a person. Your whole life, that's ridiculous. It really doesn't make, I don't even understand it. If the president has an 8-year term, why do these federal judges have a lifetime appointment? Because you see who has the power. Those Supreme Court judges hold ultimate power. So whoever has majority control over that, control really what's going on in this country. Because they take everything to court now. Everything has got, I'm taking it to the Supreme Court. That's the first thing out their mouth. And Frugal just touched and agreed with me. She said exactly. Because the people from the 40s and 50s and 60s that are still in the White House, I mean, not in the White House, but still in Washington. Do you know how many elder statesmen we have in Congress and in the Senate? It's ridiculous. I bet you there's not, at least 70% of the people in Congress are over 70 years old. You know, so that means you came up in a time, you know, where racism was at its height, you know, and so your views are different. And not just racism, sexism. You know, they believe women should be barefoot and pregnant and kept in the kitchen and all that old type of stuff. And I know because my uncle that I was a caregiver for, he was a black man, but he was sexist as hell. You know, he really felt like women ain't had no business with no jobs. And that's why men couldn't get jobs. And they don't have no business in the military. They ain't cut out to be soldiers. You know, his view on homosexuality and the LGBT community is crazy as hell. You know, I was like, bruh, you know, this is a new day. I was like, even though you don't agree with it, you know, and you want to go to your Bible and all of that type of stuff, you know, I was like, you know, everybody is entitled to live their life as they want to. I was like, it's been LBGT community ever since this planet was in existence as far as people were concerned, because people do stuff that they want to do. And if it ain't bothering you, why is it worrying you? If it ain't killing nobody or hurting nobody or harming a child, leave them alone. Mind your damn business. A person's lifestyle or sexual preferences, their own business, and they have a right to live their life how they want. Oh man, don't start. I ain't even answering today. I don't even want to do the little Arab thing. I'm just sick of these folks calling every day, every morning. Don't even make no sense. I might get me, what's the name of that thing? Robo caller, where they answer the phone for you, you know, so you don't get so many calls to where they're the people that are messing with you every day. But getting back to the subject, Waynes will say a lot of pastors nowadays don't like women in the pulpit. Would you nowadays back? You know, they go back to where Paul say in the Bible that women should be silent in the church, but he didn't mean in the pulpit. He meant that the women were gossiping in the church, but they took that particular scripture out of content, and you know, the powers that be added stuff to the Bible and took stuff out, you know, for control and manipulation. And if God or Jesus didn't want women to preach, how come when the stone rolled back and he rose on the third day, the first people that he revealed himself to were women and told them to go and spread the good news? He didn't go to the 12 apostles and say, y'all stop crying. Look, y'all, see the holes in my hand? I'm raised from the dead. It's me, you know. It is well, go and tell everybody, spread the good news. No, he went to women. So it's, if God can use an ass or speak from a rock according to the word to spread his word, why wouldn't he use a female? And see, that comes from people changing what's really actually written. They took the feminine factor out of deity. So that's a whole nother subject to touch on right there. And I mean, that's a tight rope right there. That's a tight rope. Yep. But we would have to have a whole show on that. on the masculine and the feminine principle, and how the feminine has been squelched in everything because the powers that be, which is white males, want total dominance over everything on the planet, over people of color, over females, over animals. And if they can't control it, what do? They destroy it. And this is no slight on Caucasian men, because I'm going to tell you, I got a lot of white friends, that broke bread at my house, doo-dooed in my bathroom, done slept in my house, they kids. I treat people the way they treat me, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I got some white friends in Chicago that'll kill somebody over me, and I know they will. All I had to do was call them and say, hey, man, I got a problem. I got a friend named Bob Hanzik, little short Polish guy, and he from over in Bridgeport. When I first met him, starch racist. Can't stand a black person. Effing niggers, I can't stand them. But we worked together for over 15 years. Guess what? I'm a godfather to one of his children. He trusts me with the life of his child and his dad. His dad, the one taught him all of that stuff. His dad tried to get me to move to Wisconsin on his property. Just come up here and put your trailer or something on it. Because the stuff that they thought was the truth about blacks was totally wrong. I mean, good-hearted people, just never had been around black people close enough and long enough, because it was always in a business situation. They worked with them, but they never socialized. And what broke them down? Food. Because I could cook barbecue so well. I invited them to my house. And I say, bring your family. And when they got to the house, it dispelled all of the myths they had been hearing about black folks. Now, and that's just two people that I have done like that that I have actually converted from racist to just a regular old person. And it's just done out of love. Like the words say, with love and kindness I draw thee. You ain't gonna change nobody's opinion about anything, being a butthole and trying to force somebody. Hey, blood brother Mike, what's happening? Yep. But good night, Attorney Ken Starr. What he passed? Not trying to change the subject, but blood brother Mike posted that. I hadn't heard nothing about that. But this world we got, this racism, and I hate to keep coming on this platform and talking about it, but we actually need to have more Caucasian people come on here so we can actually dialogue about this, because that's what the problem is. There ain't no dialogue about it. They don't have no think tanks against race, against racism, and then when they want to put it in school, critical race theory, they don't want that in school, because it'll teach the kids not to judge people by the color of their skin and the texture of their hair and the vocabulary that they use, but the content of their character. I know it ain't as bad as it was in the early 1900s, or in the 1800s, or even before then. but it's still not dead. Yep. Yeah, Blood Brother Mike say, yeah, Ken Starr passed. And what was the famous cases that Ken Starr was in? Somebody post that in the comment. I'm pretty sure he had a lot to do with government cases. Somebody type that in there right quick, because we only got 12 minutes left this morning. T should be back on tomorrow. Yep. And when we be holding these conversations, I need y'all to interact, because it gives me more content to speak on, where it's not like I'm just sitting here talking to y'all and y'all just listening. I need y'all to interact. That's the good thing about having these type of platforms, where it has comments and people can actually get their opinion heard on the platform and the conversations as well. So, he defended the Clinton case. Okay, which one? When Clinton was president, and he shot a little jizz wad on old girl's dress, and she saved it for 6 months in the closet. You can't tell me they ain't set him up. But they knew he had that whoremongering spirit. He was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and Trump and them on the island, playing with young girls all night. And then you give him a not very attractive young lady to be at his beck and call to bring him coffee, tea, or me. you know what he gonna do. He gonna put that cigar in her mouth, have her up under the desk. That's what she was put there for. He also represented Dick Gregory, Black Eagle, and others on the UN case with Johnny C. I don't even know who Johnny C is, Blood Brother Mike. So I do know who Dick Gregory is and Black Eagle. But I don't know who Johnny C is. But I was just speaking, that the people that I empower that are over 85 in Washington need to retire and move on. Over 75. People talking about, sleepy Joe Biden. Biden is super old. And he started off as a starch racist, but people change. And I understand that. And it's not impossible, for people to change their opinion over years on different situations. Oh, OJ's attorney. Okay. Johnny Cochran, for y'all that don't remember well or don't know, but yeah, I believe they killed him because all of a sudden he got real sick after OJ, and he was getting a lot of people off, of color. He was a damn good lawyer. As a matter of fact, one of his partners, Montgomery's, I can't remember his first name, but the law office was Cochran and Montgomery, and it was based out of Chicago. And his partner, his daughter, and my sister are very good friends. Yep. But just saying that, to say this, when you're Black and you are a prominent attorney and you're actually using their laws, against them, and you start doing stuff like getting people off like OJ, and they still don't nobody still know if OJ killed that girl or not, you know, even though it looked like he could have done it, you know, but OJ, how you taking out 4 or 5 people by yourself? He ain't no damn ninja, and he sure wasn't in no military. He just was a big head football player, you know, that had white privilege all his life, because just like Herschel Walker here, you know, if you was a good nigga, you can get anything you want. White women, it don't matter. and it's not shunned. And OJ was dating white women back when it wasn't popular and people was being killed for it. I know he was from California, you know, but that type of prejudice was everywhere. And that's what OJ thought he could do anything he want when he got older. But I do believe that his wife created a lot of debt. When you owe the cartel, because how OJ know how to do a Colombian necktie? You know, if you don't know what a Colombian necktie is, that's when they slice your throat and then they pull your tongue out of your neck from the hole that they cut in your neck. They go up in there and pull your tongue through there. That's called a Colombian necktie. That's how the cartels kill people, you know, that owed them money, or you told on them. And so if OJ knew how to do that, I don't know where he learned it at, because they don't teach that in South Central LA. You know, now if they'd have said OJ choked her to death, you know, or beat her to death, you know, he was abusive. There ain't no doubt about that, you know. But she had left OJ and was gone, but she had OJ's kids, so they was going to always have a relationship, you know. But when you lie down with dogs, you going to get fleas. And it wasn't no club secret that OJ was a whoremonger and he was abusive, you know. So she knew what she was getting into, but it was, OJ had that grip, you know. And when you got that money, you know, when beautiful women will toss all of their morals straight out the window for money, you know. And you see it every day. All you got to do is go on Instagram or Twitter or any of these platforms and see them half naked shaking their ass, you know. And then they sending stuff to every male. I get so many of these young girls. I'm looking for a sugar daddy, this, and be my friend, and I'm looking for a boyfriend. And all they want you to do is just subscribe so they can get their subscribership up so they can get paid for it, you know. But I'd be like, it's ridiculous. I don't need all that. It just be taking up storage on my phone. I don't need all of them women on there. And I don't know if they hoes or not, but you still putting your image out there, and you're almost like pandering yourself. They say almost like a self pimp, you know. And then if you go on WhatsApp and all this other stuff, then they want to send you naked pictures, but you pay for it. I don't need no naked pictures. Hell, if I can't touch a woman, I don't want, what I'm going to pay you for? Just like I ain't never been to a strip club in my life. Never. I ain't saying that I ain't never seen a strip tease, because when I worked at the Park District, at our Christmas party, we had a stripper every year. New Year's, it was a stripper, you know. But I have never went to a club and pay to get in to sit there and throw money. I don't see it. I don't even know why it's so great. Because in Illinois, you can't touch none of them. Now here down in the South, they get down and dirty with it. You can go in the club and grab a handful of ass, they crotch or breast or whatever, you know, long as you throwing them dollars. You know, you make it rain, you can even get a private dance, you know. That's prostitution. But I don't, why you gonna dress up to let some girl that's all oiled up, smell like a bottle of perfume, full of glitter, ruin your clothes? I ain't got money to give away like that. I never even saw the point in doing it. That's just some shooting it out of gun. Even if I was rich, I ain't finna be shooting no money on no for a lack of a better word, on no hoes. I just don't get it. And Blood Brother Mike said, yeah, they probably killed Cochran after he defended Geronimo Pratt. Yeah, because he was getting ready with this DNA was starting to come into prominence then. And that's really what kind of got OJ off of his case. And that's when DNA started to get popular and the science was getting stronger. He was getting ready to get a whole bunch of black folk out of jail. But jail is a business. And they use us. They warehouse their jails with us. Yep. Especially when they privatized jails. It went from the state and federal to private. They turned jail into a business. How the hell do you turn a penal system into a business? Whoever came up that was an evil genius, because they take these young brothers that then got repetitive cases for marijuana, small people. They ain't even got to be selling. You just been caught with an ounce of weed, a half an ounce of weed, a couple of dime bags. And once they get the list up so high, Mr. Ray, you've been caught with marijuana for 8 different times and you're a repeat offender. So you're going to have to do 2 years in jail, charge you with a felony. And lock you up because you've been caught with weed for, 6 or 7 times, 5 times, and if you get caught with a pound, you go into jail. And they're non-violent offenses. So they make these little tin shanty jails, like they make pole barns out of the park trucks and they just insulate it. And they're all self-ran by the prisoners, because the prisoners are the janitors, they the plumbers, they the electricians, they the cooks, they do everything. And a lot of them here in the South even grow their own food. Go figure. And then they hire them out. Now, they've supposed to have been changing the law about that. You're not supposed to be able to take people in the penal system and work for hire, but if it's private and you send your people out to pick garbage on the highway, then somebody getting a kickback for that. Believe it. And so the state say, well, we getting labor dirt cheap, and then they say, well, they're paying restitution for what they have done. So, you come and you at a work camp. And in Florida, they even do it from the county jail. When I worked for JTA, they used to bring prisoners from the county jail over to the bus depot, to the main hub where all of the buses came in, and they would make them detail buses on the weekend. And the prisoners wouldn't complain about it because they get out of the jail. And it was like the honor guys, the guys that were, good convicts. They were taken out of the penitentiary and put back in the county jail because they're about to be put back on the street and into a halfway house. And Solo host, you're doing a good job. Thanks, Blood Brother Mike. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're putting some stuff in the chat, so I can bounce off of your conversation and your your words in there, because help me out, give me some dialogue. Yep. Y'all throw them thumbs up if you enjoying the conversation this morning. And getting back to what I was talking about with the jail situation and these guys, they would send them over there to detail buses. And so the guys loved it because they could get out, they could buy cigarettes out of the machines and chips and stuff and pop that was available in the day room of the area where they have for the employees, that work there. And the employees loved it because all we did was come in for overtime on the weekend, and all we had to do was bring the bus up there, park it. After we fuel it and check the oil and the transmission and the radiator and run it through the bus wash, because the bus wash was automatic. So it's like a drive-through. And so once we fueled it, check the oil and all of that stuff, and then make sure all of you had to do like a 42-point check on it to make sure all the lights work, that the kneeling system worked. That's when the buses go down in the front to allow people who are in wheelchairs or anything have access to the bus, because it lets that panel down. Or if it's somebody old and they can't step up real high to get on the bus, you make it kneel so they can get easy access. So once you check all that stuff and then you bring it in there and park it, then they wipe down everything. They scrub the floors, wipe the seats, clean the glass, where the bus driver sits, and it's a detailed cleaning. Because during the week, when we was running them buses in there, some people would bring it in, fuel it, all of that, and then you park it, and then somebody else would come in, they'll sweep it, mop, and just wipe the bus driver side and the handrails, and then send it out. Send it off and park it so it'll be ready to go by 3:30 in the morning. All of the buses would be in by 3:30 in the morning to be ready to go by 4 o'clock. And so they was loving it. And then they would call, they had a payphone in there. And so they would call people and could talk, because, they would hurry up and clean the bus. So the time that it take for you to do your 42-point check and fuel the bus, then they would have time to sit around and chew the fat and get on the phone. And it's like 4 or 5 phones in there. And they weren't pay phones. You could just go up there, and if you know somebody's number, you could just call. So they was calling, talking to their mama and telling them, could you bring me some food? And so the employees would go to the gate. Their parents would bring pizza, or their girlfriend would bring stuff, and they had armed guards that were there too, that were, they were actual Florida State Police. And so they would be there, and they'll check and make sure ain't nothing in it, no drugs or nothing, and let them eat, because it was an honor system. So, it was cool for the inmates. It was a win-win for everybody, but it was really a win-win for JTA, because I know they weren't paying much for them to do that. Whereas if we were detailing a bus, it's going to cost you $18, $19 an hour. And if we there on the weekend, that's time and a half. So that's like $26, $27 an hour that you ain't trying to pay. When they could get somebody to come in there and they paying them $4 an hour. They paying the state, and they have been doing it for years, so that's saving them millions of dollars every year, and we never complained to anybody about it, because we didn't want to detail the buses anyway. All we wanted to do was run them buses and park them, and sit down and be watching TV while they working. It's going to take them 20 minutes, half hour to detail a bus, you know, and that by that, and you sitting there and then you go and you do 10 minutes worth of work, and then the rest of the hour you sitting there chilling. And Blood Brother Mike say they wash and detail state vehicles in Delaware. So that's a practice that they must be doing all over. Say, wow, they had a good light duty. Yep. Say, how large were the crews? They would bring about, on Saturdays, they would bring like about 25 people. And it'll be like 5 of us, and they'll put 5 people on each bus for detailing. And our supervisor would inspect the buses before we park them off. And if something wasn't on there right, they'll make them go back on there and do it again, you know, whatever wasn't done properly. But it's really a heck of a thing, you know, where they do these inmates to make money, and the warehouse Black people and Hispanics and poor whites, you know, to do that, because that's who's in jail. Poor whites, Black and Hispanics. I have never seen a Chinese in jail. Never. Have I seen a Philippine or anybody that's Oriental Asian persuasion? They say Oriental is not politically correct to say. Yep. And Blood Brother Mike say 25 prisoners at $4 an hour. That's a steal. Yeah, it is. Whereas if you had 25 employees working at $27 an hour, because they only detail buses on the weekend because they don't have time to do it during the week, because the buses had to be serviced, they have to be fueled and all of that stuff. And they had buses that they would take out of service to work on and all that type of stuff. And they would work from 6 in the morning until 4:30 in the evening. And JTA did supply them with lunch, you know, and it would be like a prison lunch. It'd be bologna sandwich, a juice, a bag of chips, you know, stuff like that. It wasn't like they was giving them food that was going to sustain them. You know, I know they would eat before they leave the jailhouse, and then they would bring them there. And then for their lunch, they would work from 6 until 11:30, and then they give them an hour lunch. You know, that was your break. So they would have a sandwich. It wasn't bologna all the time, you know, but it wasn't nothing that you couldn't get in a sandwich. So if it wasn't bologna, it was ham, it was a chicken sandwich, it was peanut butter and jelly, it was tuna fish, you know, because they had a kitchen in JTA that prepared the meals. So it was better than what they would be getting out of the jailhouse. So they never complained about it. And then they would call people, some of them would call people and have them bring food. And so when they did that, they would share the food with, you know, with other guys, you know, that they knew, and, you know, from jail. Hey, yeah, well, you know, he got 4 or 5 people that's eating pizza with him, you know, or their mother or girlfriend or somebody in their family, a brother or something, bought chicken, and they be sitting there, you know, with a bucket of KFC, you know, stuff like that. And it was no problem. Everybody in, you know, it just ran real smooth, but I still think it was an unfair practice. 10 hours minus 1 hour. Yeah, 9 hours. Oh, and they got a 15-minute break at 2:30. So if somebody had to go to the bathroom, you know, after they done ate and all that stuff, they gave them another 15-minute break at 2:30. And then a lot of times they only had X amount of buses to do. So if they rushed and did a good job and finished the buses beforehand, they would just sit around in the break room and could watch television. And so, the state got over like a fat rat in a cheese factory. Yep. But then the guys that were doing it felt the same way. because it was a privilege that they had that the other other inmates didn't have. Yep, but that's my time for the day. I done actually went over 13 minutes. I got a few things to do today, and I don't know if T is gonna make it tomorrow. I hope she does, but reach back and give back. Somebody needs your smile. Somebody might need a bottle of water, a pair of shoes that you ain't wearing no more, a pair of pants, a coat is getting ready to get cold. Help some of these people, that are less fortunate, whatever they need, whatever God put on your heart to do. And so I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. So love, peace, and hair grease. And if your scalp is itching, wash and condition. And check us out tomorrow on another episode of In My Element with Neela, and I'm your co-host, Turk Ray. And I'm gonna come up with a special subject tomorrow that's gonna touch a lot of folks. So I'll holler. But first, before I go, that wasn't supposed to run twice. So I want to thank everybody that stayed on with me today. Hope you enjoyed the chat we had. And everybody have a good day. Be safe out here in these streets. Pay attention to your surroundings. I ain't saying be paranoid, but just keep your eyes open when you're in these grocery stores. And wherever you're at, just be safe. Have a blessed day. Peace. I'm out.